I rolled my wheelchair straight down the center aisle at my nephew's wedding after his fiancée asked me to wait by the side door until after the vows. So let me set some context first, because without it this probably sounds worse than it is. My name is Donna, I'm 54, I've been using a wheelchair for about 11 years now, MS, slow progressing, but it is what it is. My nephew Callum is 29 and he's the kid I basically watched grow up. His mom, my sister Renee, was a single parent for most of his childhood and I was over there 3 or 4 times a week. I taught him how to ride a bike. I sat through every single one of his school plays. I drove him to his first job interview. So when he got engaged to a woman named Petra about a year and a half ago, I was genuinely happy for him. Petra and I had never had a problem. We'd met maybe a dozen times at family dinners, holidays, that kind of thing. She was fine. A little formal, a little surface level, but fine. The wedding was last Saturday. Outdoor ceremony at this vineyard about an hour outside the city. Beautiful place, honestly. Flagstone paths, rows of white chairs, the whole thing. I'd confirmed with the venue coordinator 2 months earlier that the paths were accessible and that there'd be a spot for me in the front row next to Renee. I got a text from Petra 3 days before the wedding. It said, and I'm reading this almost exactly right. Hi Donna, just a heads up for Saturday. We're gonna ask you to come in through the side entrance and wait near the catering area until after the ceremony so we don't have any delays with seating. The flagstone can be uneven, so we want to make sure everyone is settled before you come in. Hope that makes sense. I read it twice. The side entrance, the catering area, until after the vows. I called Renee immediately. She sounded like she already knew. She said Petra had mentioned something about flow and not wanting the ceremony to be interrupted, and that she'd tried to push back a little, but Petra said it was her wedding. Renee sounded tired more than anything. She said, you don't have to listen to her. I want you in the front row. I texted Petra back that evening. I kept it short. I said I appreciated the thought, but I'd be coming in with the rest of the guests through the main entrance and sitting in the front row with my sister. She responded about 6 hours later with okay, let's just try to make it work, and I left it there. I got to the vineyard about 45 minutes early. Callum found me near the parking area and he looked genuinely flustered when he saw me. He said, Aunt Donna, hey, did Petra text you about, I'm going in through the main entrance. He kind of nodded slowly and said okay. He didn't argue. I don't know if he even wanted to. A woman I didn't recognize, I think one of Petra's bridesmaids, appeared right before guests started filing in and said, hi, you must be Donna. So we were thinking you could just hang out by the side entrance for a little bit and then we'll get you settled after. And I said, no thank you, I'm going in with everyone else. She said, it's just easier with and I said, I'm going in with everyone else. And then I just did. The chairs were in rows with a center aisle left open. I wheeled in with the first group of guests and went straight down that aisle. It took me maybe 30 seconds. A few people smiled at me. Renee was already in the front row and her face when she saw me coming, she just exhaled and reached out her hand. I took my spot, right there in the front row. About 10 minutes later, the ceremony started. I watched my nephew walk out and see me sitting next to his mother, and something moved across his face that I can't fully describe. He didn't say anything. He just looked at me for a second longer than he needed to. The ceremony was beautiful, honestly. I cried at the vows. At the reception, Petra didn't speak to me directly the entire night. At one point, she walked past me and made eye contact, and I smiled at her and she smiled back and kept moving. Callum came and found me during dinner, sat next to me for a while. He said, thank you for being here. I said I wouldn't have missed it. He said, I know. That was basically it. Renee called me the next morning. She said Petra had told Callum afterward that it was disrespectful and that I'd done it on purpose to embarrass her. Callum apparently said, she came to my wedding, Petra. That's it. She hasn't spoken to Renee since.